What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV and we are all smiles again as Spurs battered Southampton 5-0, which ended Russell Martin's Southampton career. I was there last night. Sim was here in the studio and it was a joy to behold, mate. It was one of the easiest away games I've ever had to encounter.
Were you singing Jingle Bells last night?
We were singing Jingle Bells, definitely. I mean, the wide range of songs that were sung in the away end yesterday, literally the atmosphere was incredible. One of the best atmospheres I've encountered in recent years. That's how good it was. And, you know, we went up to Man City a month ago now, or just over a month ago in our last win in the Premier League, and the atmosphere was great that night. But this one absolutely smashed that. It really did. It was incredible. Wide range of songs showing their distaste for the owner, showing support for the manager, and showing support for the team as well throughout the game. So it was an unbelievable thing to be a part of yesterday.
Yeah, and things couldn't really have gone better in terms of what we needed for yesterday. You know, young players coming in. We needed a fast start. We needed to get this game won early because we know we need to rest players for Thursday as well. So I think all in all, I mean, we'll get into the game, but as an overall picture, it was a very good day yesterday. As you say, I was obviously here in the studio, but I was listening to the sounds on my headphones, and all I could hear the whole game was Spurs fans chanting, and they were completely louder than the home fans. Obviously, it helps when you're 1-0 after 36 seconds and 3-0 up after 15 minutes, and it was an easy day in the end. But going into this, you've got to remember how much pressure was on the team and how much pressure was on Ange. I mean, you predicted a draw before the game, like a lot of people predict us to struggle in this game. And as much as, yes, it is a Southampton side who are down at the bottom 5 points after 16 games, no doubt about it. They're not the best team, for sure. But I've watched them a number of times this season, and in a lot of games, even games where they've lost heavily like Chelsea, there have been periods where they've been on top and they've actually, you know, looked like they can score goals and given opposition trouble. They went to Brighton away not so long ago, got a draw, like a very credible draw, and if it wasn't for a robbery, they should have won that game. Like, they should have beaten Liverpool at home. You know, Liverpool side who are not running away, but, you know, top of the league at the moment and favourites for the title at the time of speaking. And they should have won that game, Southampton, with the way they played. And it was only, again, shooting themselves in the foot they didn't. So as much as people would dismiss a 5-0 win, and, you know, I don't think we can go overboard, but I think it's probably more impressive than just a win away at a bottom side who, you know, people are saying they are losing don't get me wrong, and they weren't good on the day. But I think we should get more credit than just say, oh, it's only Southampton. Because I've seen better teams than us struggle against Southampton this season.
Yeah, that is true. No, 100% that's true. But obviously the manager has just got sacked after this game.
Yeah.
5 points from the opening 16 games in the Premier League. Whether they've played well in a few games and deserved a few more points, you know, it's fair enough. But yesterday, they were nothing short of embarrassing.
Yeah,
let's get real. They were really embarrassing, and they put in probably their worst display by some way in the Premier League so far this season. That's got to be said. But however, Spurs were scintillating at times. We came out the blocks so fast. We got that goal. What was it? 40 seconds or something? 45 seconds on the clock?
36 seconds.
36 seconds it was. Unbelievable. And the way the goal was scored as well, you know, all the discourse before the game about Jed Spence, and everyone's like, how many times have we sat here being like, Jed Spence has to play, he has to play, he has to play. Why is he not getting his chances? And we both said this, we actually said it against Bournemouth, but then we said it again for this game. This is the perfect opportunity to play him. Porro looks out on his legs. He starts, and within 30 seconds, he's made an absolute unbelievable impact. The way he burned past a player and the way he passed it round the back to James Maddison. I mean, he created that goal all by himself pretty much. Brilliant. And James Maddison obviously slots it in the quality that we know he has.
What was the anticipation before the game to, you know, seeing the lineup, Bergvall and Spence? Was the mood around the crowd, you know, excited to see them?
Absolutely. Particularly Jed Spence. I mean, everyone's happy to see Bergvall, but I think because of the whole narrative around how our fullbacks are tiring, Porro's not been putting in good games over the past month. We need to see something fresh, and I think that we did that. We did see that. You know, Jed Spence came into it with an unbelievable mentality. He was running up and down that right wing all day long until he got taken off, and with quality as well.
Until he got moved over to the left.
Until he got moved over to the left, yeah. But with quality.
Yeah.
With absolute quality. You know, every time he had the ball, he used it so well. He was aggressive, and, you know, he's made stakes the claim, and he's sent the manager a big message yesterday.
It was interesting listening to Ange after the game, saying pretty much what we've said in terms of whenever Spence has had an opportunity this season, albeit limited opportunities, he's done well and he's played well. And it's interesting to hear Ange say that because we've been saying that, and then we've been on, as a consequence of that, we've been calling for Jed to get more minutes because, as we say, we've run our fullbacks into the ground, and it's not like Jed has shown to be out of his depth when he's been on the pitch. He saved us against Coventry. He's had a good few cameos. He had a good half against Man United as well. I think came on twice against Man City in both our wins, albeit limited minutes. But when he's come on, he's added. He has contributed to the team, and he hasn't looked out of place at all. So when we're in a situation where we've got Porro and Udogie looking absolutely out on their feet, completely running to the ground, looking like they need a break. I know Gray's come in a few games, and obviously he's been used in Europa League, but I don't know why Jed has not been more utilised in the Premier League after 16 games. It's a mystery to me. This is his first start, especially the way we play, so intense. We need players at their freshest as much as possible. Obviously, it's never going to happen throughout the whole season that every minute of every game, every player is going to be fresh. Some players will have to play when they're a bit leggy. That's just especially the nature of our injury crisis and whatever. But we have a fresh player there. One thing that was so notable to me, it wasn't even what he was doing on the ball, which was great, but off the ball, when we're losing the ball, right, and he's sprinting back at full pelt to get back in position and win the ball back, and a lot of the times it ends up with him just getting back on the winger and making a challenge and putting Tottenham back on the front foot again. And that is something that I feel like Udogie and Porro mostly are really struggling with when we're dominating the ball and then we're losing it, and then they have to sprint back in to get back in position, covering a lot of space. And maybe they can do that when they're in full fitness, but right now they're struggling and looking really leggy to do that. But Spence was able to do that on a number of times with ease, and that comes with fresh legs. That comes with first of all, because he's naturally very athletic and he's very fast, we know that. But I think because he hasn't been used as much, he has that freshness about him, and it's just a mystery at this point, seeing how he's performed when he's just come in, why he hasn't been utilised a bit more. And yeah, that was a message to the manager from Jed, especially after 36 seconds to do what he did. It was pretty much saying, I'm here, you should have used me more, and this is what I'm capable of. And yeah, it's disappointing that he hasn't been used.
I think it makes a bit of a mockery as well, like why we've been overplaying Porro and Udogie so much, or because Jed filled in brilliantly at left back when he got switched over when Udogie goes off, and at right back, obviously for the opening half an hour, I thought he was brilliant as well. So it makes a bit of a mockery of why we have been overplaying Porro and Udogie, because you've got someone right there that has hardly played minutes, that's completely fresh, and that's chomping at the bit to get on the pitch. I mean, last night's performance, you can see from that performance alone and the cameos that he has had that he should, by now, he should be having a lot more minutes. It makes no sense to it.
100%. I'm not even saying based on what we've seen he's like the best fullback in the world, but clearly he can contribute, and clearly he's good enough to step in for Porro when needed and step in for Udogie. I don't think we saw yesterday he's better than those players, but he might be. I mean, he played very well, but obviously it's only Southampton, and obviously all these caveats.
We've needed energy in that position, exactly. Right? We've needed energy, and that's what he brings.
Exactly, and they've clearly physically been struggling a lot, Porro and Udogie, and Spence yesterday was like a breath of fresh air, and he brought that new energy. And yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for him. Hopefully, that start can lead to more minutes. Obviously, the bad thing for him is he's out the Europa League squad. We've said that throughout the season, and I'm sure he would have played a lot more if he was in that squad, but unfortunately that's not the case. But in this tough period that we've got, I want to see him get more game time, and it'll be interesting to see what he does on Thursday. Obviously, it depends on Udogie's fitness, but if Udogie is fit enough to start, it'll be interesting to see, does he persist with Spence at right back, or does he bring Porro back in? Because I thought Porro came on and didn't look particularly great again, to be honest. Didn't think he had a shocker, but I thought there's a few times, again, he got bypassed and was looking a bit leggy, and Spence just looked better. So it'll be interesting to see what his thinking is going into Thursday.
It is pretty frustrating, isn't it? Because finally, it was a bit like Udogie, throughout the season, whenever we've given Udogie a rest, he's had to come on early in the game, and it was a bit similar to Porro yesterday. We finally given him a rest, we finally get to see Jed Spence, and then Udogie goes down injured at 4-0 up, and then pretty much Spence had to play the last 15 minutes of the first half, and then obviously the whole of the second half, and it didn't do him any favours. It really didn't, because we need guys like that to get a rest, and a real rest, and they're just not being able to get it at this moment in time, which is frustrating. But look, back on the game, obviously we go 1-0 up after the first minute, And then we go 2-0 up after 12 minutes. And between the first minute and the 12th minute, I mean, we could have scored like 2 or 3 goals. We were rampant, weren't we? We were cutting them open like a hot knife through butter. Sonny was just terrorising them. I think in the opening 15, 20 minutes, he had about 4 shots on target and could have scored a few more than he did. But obviously, he gets the second goal on the 12th minute. Lovely finish. And it was just brilliant movement from Sonny to get him into that position and to put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I definitely noticed a bit more of an adjustment in terms of Sonny's positioning in this one. I felt like he was more often than not, he was the furthest player forward, and he was the one tasked with getting in on those opportunities. Everyone's talking about, not everyone, but a few people noticed Solanke wasn't really involved yesterday, and obviously he was dropping a lot deeper, and he wasn't really tasked with getting on the end of things. Obviously, nearly did through a good cross from Son, but definitely I felt Ange made sure that Son was the one furthest forward when we were on breakaways and we were on transitions, and Son was the one we were passing the ball through to, and it worked to devastating effect. And obviously he got the goal after 11 minutes with a clinical finish on his left foot. A bit of luck with how it got to him from Maddison's cross. It got a bit of a deflection. It landed straight to him, but he's got to bury it, and he did. And he needed that goal because he's missed a few chances of late, but he absolutely buried it. And he was the one who looked like he was really stretching Southampton. He was getting beyond the last man. He was getting in those pockets in between fullback and centre-back where he's so dangerous. And when he was out wide, he delivered that ball on a plate for Solanke, which led to the third goal as well. So he got that assist. He obviously got a brilliant assist for Maddison's goal as well at the end of the half. But it was a continuous threat, and he was taking shots early. He was looking confident, and it was a good goal and an amazing half for him. And I was at halftime, I said take him off because we need him in this form for Thursday, and we're 5-0 up. There's no need to risk him carrying on right now, especially that we're managing him. And I'm so happy that Ange took him off, because exactly what I was calling for at halftime.
Exactly, and we've been backing up Sonny on this channel quite a lot over the last month and, well, all season pretty much. A lot of people coming on saying Sonny's this, Sonny's that, Sonny's washed. I mean, yeah, fine. Southampton were willing participants yesterday in the route that we did have, but I mean, he was unplayable at times. Sonny yesterday, he really was. That was his best display of the season. That really was.
Yeah, I think so.
By far.
Yeah, I think so. They couldn't handle him. He only played 45 minutes as well, but they couldn't handle him, really. They really struggled to contain. Well, I think he had to, at half-time, he had to console Walker Peters for the roasting he gave him. I think. I felt bad for him so much. And every time he got the ball, it was a massive threat. And he didn't even have to take people on.
That's so classic Sonny, though, isn't it? Like, give you a roasting, and then he gives him a hug at half-time, being like, everything will be all right, mate. Don't you worry.
You're a good player. You just came up against me on this occasion.
But the average position on the pitch basically backs up with what you say. If we have a look at this via SofaScore, the link is in the description, QR code on screen if you want to download it. Look how far up the pitch Sonny was compared to anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we need him.
Yeah.
That's I don't mind seeing him out a bit wide or whatever, but I think that's clearly, we know that's where Son's is most dangerous, in that position. A bit more
that is
central.
the Sonny zone right there, where the number 7 is.
And, we scored 5 goals, and everyone, I've seen a few people like clowning on Solanke, but I think his main role was to draw a few defenders out so Sonny could exploit those spaces. And I think that was his job yesterday. And if we score 5 goals in every game and Solanke doesn't score a goal for the rest of the season, I don't really care how many goals he scores, because he'll be doing his job. And that's what I'm talking about. And getting Son in those zones is crucial to getting him being effective for us. And we know when he gets in those positions how good it can be. People talking about Son, even recently being in bad form, but since he came back from that injury against West Ham, that's in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In his last 8 games for Tottenham in the Premier League, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 7 goal contributions in his last 8 games.
How many goals? How many assists?
3 goals and 4 assists in his last 8 games. So, where is this bad form? I've been saying consistently since he came back from injury, I actually think he's been looking really sharp. And people have been looking at these he missed that chance against Chelsea. I remember the Roma game, he missed a couple of really good chances where he should have scored. And people have been focusing on those chances and saying, oh, he's in terrible form. Even the Fulham game, I think he missed that chance right at the beginning of the game, right? So yeah, granted, he's missed a few chances, don't get me wrong, and he maybe a Son on his best form will be scoring those chances. But to say he's in bad form, I'm not seeing it. I actually think he's looking quite a lot sharper. Like I thought, beginning of the season, I agree, maybe he was looking a bit sluggish. But since he came back from that injury, I think he's actually been looked a lot sharper than he was beginning of the season. And just because he's missing those chances, look at it this way: at the beginning of the season, he might not have been getting those chances. Now he's getting those positions, and he's regularly getting in the positions we need him to. And as I've said, he's providing 7 goal contributions in 8 games. And yes, even in those games, he maybe hasn't been at his best, but I don't see him being in bad form. Like I don't know why everyone's been piling in on him recently. Maybe it's just a consequence of us not being in good form as a team.
It's when you're not winning and he's missing those chances. They can be pivotal chances in games, right?
I get that.
So I can understand it to a certain extent, but I keep saying, don't write off Sonny, because every single time he'll smash you back in the face and he'll hit back the critics, and he does it every single season, right? Mm-hmm. Every single season he goes through this little period and everyone's like, oh, Sonny's finished, he's not the player he was, he's this, he's that, and every single time he comes back and responds, every time, and this is no different. This is no different.
11 goal contributions in 12 starts.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Brilliant. And what I noticed yesterday as well, like what was maybe different to previous games, is how compact we were in the middle of the park. Like we were so, in the last few games, like against Rangers, against Fulham, like the midfield has been pretty non-existent, and people have been able to just drive through our midfield.
Yeah.
This time was completely different. I think Ange purposely kind of packed, and you can see it in this average position as well. Look how compact our midfield is.
Well, it's a bit skewed because Spence had to move from right to left. So
that's also true.
So he's
but you look at
centre. But you look at
Solanke, look at Kulusevski.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, we compacted that area. We got. You've noticed that Kulusevski definitely had. I mean, again, it might be a bit skewed because Decky also moved to the left for a bit, so he may have had some positions there. But Decky definitely, look, you saw where he scored the goal. He definitely had some freedom to go central, and that's where he obviously got the goal from. And he definitely wasn't stuck to the right hand side for all the game, albeit he might have been even more disciplined than he's been in other performances when he's on the right, but he wasn't stuck there. And I think how Ange maybe adjusted things was, he allowed Decky and Solanke drop a bit deeper and get a bit more central, and make sure that when we're on the transition, we're just hitting Son early, and he's our furthest player forward. And I think it worked an absolute treat, to be honest. And definitely that was part of the thinking. I think as well, Sarr, if you look at his heat map, he was quite deep. Look how concentration. I know he was
bloody everywhere,
but look how the concentration is very much deep to the right hand side. And I think for sure, he was making sure he was helping out Spence, helping out Bergvall in that position. Obviously, he was also getting forward. That's where he got his goal from as well. Brilliant goal as well. But yeah, I think he was definitely tasked with helping Bergvall out and being a bit more of a double pivot. But yeah, Sarr was absolutely everywhere, wasn't he? He had
really
so much energy. Absolutely fantastic.
And it's mad as well with Sarr, like with the energy levels that he's showing, because he's played a lot of football, right, in recent weeks, in recent months, and he's taken a bit of a dip in form in the last 2 or 3 games, but really bang at it again today.
Well, he had a rest, didn't he, on Thursday?
Yeah, that's true.
He came up, so maybe that refresh really helped him, because he looked really, really fresh in this game.
Then obviously Kulusevski gets his goal 3 minutes, after the 14th minute, 3-0 up in 14 minutes. We absolutely blew them away. A bit of a scrappy goal, but Kulusevski was there in the box to put it home, and that's when the chants, the I don't care about Levy, Kulusevski chant really started to bang. And you know what was cool about that chant is, like, they were using it to show their distaste for the ownership, but every time Kulusevski did something good, or every time he came over for a corner to our side, it just ramped up and ramped up and ramped up.
I wonder what Decky thinks of that song.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was clapping the fans. So
I don't think he's going to be singing it on any official Spurs channels anytime soon. Like,
I've been singing it all morning, man. I really have. But yeah, I thought Kulusevski as well put in a top display.
Yeah, on the right-hand side again. And, look, I think the last time we played Decky on the right and Maddison in the centre was probably the City game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that's clearly a weapon we should be probably using more often. And look, everyone's saying Decky is a centre mid now and blah, blah, blah. And he is, don't get me wrong, I think clearly that's his best position. Doesn't mean he can't do a job on the right still. And he's showing in recent weeks, maybe he's more doing a job for the team, or rather than being in a position that he wants to be in. But clearly, it's a position he can still be very effective in. And against City was brilliant. And yesterday, another brilliant performance from him off that right-hand side. He got his goal and he was looking dangerous throughout.
Yeah, he really was. And he's just so physical. It's so hard to get the ball off him when he's in that kind of mood. And again, another player. Like, I felt like Kulusevski, Sarr and Maddison were just rampant on them in the first half. And they just couldn't handle all three of them, to be honest. And Jed Spence, him as well. I'll put him in there. Those four players, I know there were good performances from elsewhere on the pitch as well, but in terms from an attacking threat, I mean, they just couldn't handle them. Yeah. They really couldn't.
And again, it was an example yesterday, I think, of when we point to Maddison, is when he's in the mood and he clicks, like he's so hard to stop, and I think he's a real glue to this Spurs side when he's on form and when he's playing as well as he can play like he did yesterday. When he plays well, it seems like Spurs definitely play well. You think of all our best performances this season, the City away game, when we played at Old Trafford, that Brentford game when he was one of his best games in the Tottenham shirt. You think of yesterday, it's always him being outstanding a lot of the time. And obviously he has been in and out of the team, but again, I find the narrative of him having a poor season just a bit of a strange one. I've been saying consistently, I don't think in general he's having a poor season. I think in general he's actually having a good season where he's had a few poor games rather than a poor season where he's had a few good games. I think it's the other way around. And I think yesterday was another brilliant performance from him. And obviously he scored in the first and last minute of the half. Brilliant goal of the second one as well. That run, that chop back he did before he buried the shot. I've seen him do that so many times, and when he doesn't get the reward for it, he doesn't end up getting the assist or scoring the goal, because I've seen him done that so many times. He is so good at that little chop back, and he keeps the ball so close to his body that it's really hard for the defender to stop it. And a lot of the time he wins fouls there, or he actually earns that extra yard he needs to create that separation. And I feel like defenders always end up diving in there because they know if they allow him to whip that ball across the face to go on his left foot, he's still got a very strong left foot, so they need to stop it. So it gives him that opportunity to chop in. But this time, such a tight angle. If you actually take a snapshot of when how much space he had to get that shot in, literally, he scored it the only place he could, is right into that top corner. Yeah. Unbelievable finish. It was actually very similar to the chance he had literally a week ago
against Bournemouth. Yeah.
And that one he missed it by a whisker, and this time he got it into the.
I think this one was actually harder.
Yeah, probably. I'll probably agree with that, because the other Bournemouth one was not as hard an angle. But again, that Bournemouth one came from that little chop, which is so hard to stop because he's so two-footed and he keeps the ball so close to his body. It's really hard to stop that chop, and we need to see that more often.
But Maddison, in that first half, was literally unplayable. And I think this is why a lot of fans, including myself, get so frustrated with Maddison, because we know what he's capable of. We know on his day he can be literally unplayable. He can be one of the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League. But we don't see these kind of performances on a regular basis from him. And as much as he's not having a bad season and he puts in, good displays, quite a few times this season, it's not as high as like a display like we saw yesterday, and what we know he's capable of. And I would love to see him, do it more often for us, because I don't think like we've seen anywhere near the capabilities of what Maddison can bring on a regular basis at Spurs.
Yeah, I think I'd say more last season. I would agree that like first 10 games he was brilliant, then there was a major drop off, and he struggled to perform in that second half of the season. But this season, I think in general, this first half of the season, I generally think there's been more good games than bad from him. In my opinion, yes, not every game has been a brace against City or a brace like yesterday, and not every game has been that good. But I think in general, he's actually maintained a pretty good level of performance. And look, he's got 11 goal contributions in 13 starts, which is again pretty good numbers. You can say, we got 2 goals yesterday, 2 goals against City, but so maybe that skews it. But he's got goal contributions in 9 different games. So that's 9 of his 13 starts. He's got goal contributions. So that's pretty consistent, in terms of providing for the team. And he does so much work, which I think goes praised, which in the middle of the park, which he does so much good work, which when it doesn't end in a goal or assist, people just dismiss because it doesn't end in a goal contribution. But I think when he turns players and things like that, he does so much of that work. And again, off the ball as well, and he won 7 of his 9 ground duels, so clearly he was there as well off the ball. When you look at like his goal scoring rate, he's on level goals now with people like Watkins and Isaac, who aren't having terrible seasons. He's got, in terms of goal contributions, he's 5th highest in the league now for goal contributions. So, I mean, it doesn't seem to be like he's having a bad season.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, but I just feel like on a regular basis, from what he shows, and on the odd games where he has worldies against Man City and against Southampton, people want to see that on a more regular basis. And I'm more than happy with the goal contributions, how he's contributing this season. There have been a few stinkers in there from Maddison, not going to lie, but I just feel like people need to, because I feel like Maddison has been like a bit up and down, and people want to see like that good base level of performance on a regular basis. And these games against Man City and these games against Southampton shows you what he can do, and we don't see that on a regular basis.
My point is,
but he's contributing well. I'm not going to lie.
I think he's been more consistent. People give him credit for, in my opinion. Yeah, he has an extremely high ceiling, clearly, when he puts in these unbelievable performances. But I think he gets maybe a brunt of the criticism because he's one of the leaders in the team. He's also a bit of a maverick. His personality as well. He comes across as someone who is like happy-go-lucky and all this stuff. So when things are going badly, I think people point a finger at him as someone who's not someone who wants to drive the other teams and stuff like that. A lot of it's perception. Maybe there is some reality to it as well. I'm not in the dressing room, but clearly that's something that gets pointed at him. And especially when sometimes we have performances where we are struggling to create chances, the finger gets pointed at him. But I think a lot of the time it is unfair criticism, in my opinion. And I think a lot of the time the finger gets pointed at him unjustly, when I think a lot of the time it's a team issue rather than just him. But yeah, look, he's had some bad performances. Not every player is going to play well every game. But I think fairly consistently, looking at the numbers and when I watch him play, I think he's been pretty consistently good this season. I think the bad performances are the exception to the rule, in my opinion. Whereas the perception you get online is he's bad more than he's good, and I don't agree with that.
So obviously we go 4-0, 3-0 up after 40 minutes. They're forced into a change 15 minutes into the game. Sulemana goes off for Wood. I've never seen a team against us particularly like being forced into a change after 15 minutes. He's hauling off a player.
Yeah, and I felt he said after the game he felt bad for Sulemana, and who's barely played this season as well. And he had quite a fiery exchange with him on the touchline as well. But when you're 3-0 down, he said he just had to change it because it completely backfired, and it wasn't going well at all, and he had to plug the gaps that we were exploiting. But it did stem the tide for about 10 minutes, and then we got another goal, pretty much. So couldn't completely stem it.
But that goal from Pape, man.
Brilliant.
Oh, my God. The way he's just dancing through Southampton players and has the quality to put it in the back of the net as well. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like, literally, Pape Matar Sarr was giving Southampton dancing lessons or something on the pitch. He was literally dancing through like a ballerina through the Southampton defence.
It reminded me of a goal like Yaya Toure might score, when he was at prime, when he was at his best at City. Like the way he just powered through, but he was also with that bit of finesse, little touches in the box, but then he fires it in on his left peg as well, right into the corner. Brilliant finish from him. If you've seen before that, he did an unbelievable. Do you see this touch he did right in the middle of the park? He did one of those I guess like Berbatov or Bergkamp touches in the middle of the park. He flicked it round the corner, went the other way, in the middle of the park, and set Tottenham on another attack. And he was really in the mood yesterday. And look, I think he's in general having a really good season, but in recent weeks he's definitely not been at his best. Whether maybe he's being overplayed like a lot of our players, he needed a rest, and he got a bit of a rest on Thursday. But he had again as well, maybe been looking a bit leggy. But yesterday, back in the team after a refresh, and he was completely at his best, and he was completely dominating that whole Southampton midfield. But he had that quality as well in the final third to make the difference. And once he picked up the ball around the edge of the area, I think he's going to take the shot early. But the way he had the composure to just go through a couple of Southampton defenders and fire in, brilliant moment for him, and real kind of reward for what was a top display from him yesterday.
So 25 minutes gone, 4-0 up at St Mary's, and you're thinking, wow, this could be a record goal. This could be a record scoreline here from Spurs. We were rampant. We were destroying them in their area. The ball hardly came into our half. They had one chance, didn't they, in the first half? But that was pretty much it. But in true Spurs fashion, when things are going too well, there's something in the game to bring you back down to earth. And Destiny Udogie goes off injured after 28 minutes, and it was so frustrating, wasn't it? Things were going a bit too well at that point, and we know how short we are at fullback at the moment. Spence was on the pitch, Porro was on the pitch, so we had no other fullbacks on. Porro was on the bench. Porro had to come on because he was having a rest and a well-needed rest. And it was just so frustrating. I don't know if there's been any news on Destiny since the game or anything.
And said after the game that he felt something in his quad and he wanted to continue, but Ange didn't want to take any risks. And at this point, we know that we're really short numbers. So he said he took him off. At the moment, it doesn't seem serious and it looks precautionary. But we've heard that before, haven't we? And
exactly.
When we said that about Son after the West Ham game, and all of a sudden he was missing for 2 weeks.
Didn't he say it about Van der Ven as well?
Van der Ven, he said, well, he didn't say it was precautionary. He said that he felt a bit of tightness, and the plan was always to take him off on 70 minutes, and they ended up taking him off on 79 or something. And then he's now turned out he's injured as well. So obviously, you can't take anything for granted. Let's hope that the original assessment is true. But, if he's feeling tightness after 28 minutes in this game and his own precautionary, is that, is it even if he's fully fit for Thursday, is it too much of a risk to start him in case of another injury? Do we just rest him for Liverpool? But can we afford to do that? Obviously, we got Porro who'll have to start if that's the case, and then Spence can come in at left back. Also, we ended the game with Gray at left back and Dorrington came on. Maybe did he do that just in case Dorrington has to come in at some point over the next few games?
I think he's giving him a taste of it.
Yeah, just to give him a taste, because we actually might need him if Udogie or Porro or whatever, or any of our fullbacks go out and Gray has to play there. Then all of a sudden you're looking at Dorrington coming in. And to be fair, Dorrington, he came on, made a mistake, and then recovered quite well and looked quite composed for the end of it. So, look, it was 5-0. It's not like he had a lot to do. But at least giving him a taste of Premier League action will help him. Yeah.
So, I mean, from the 4th goal to the 5th goal was like 20 minutes. And I'm like thinking in that 20 minutes, like, come on, guys, what's going on? We're not scoring. But yeah, we spoke about that goal. Absolutely high quality from James Maddison in pretty much the last kick of the half.
It was the second goal of the game where we scored it while a player scored it while slipping over.
Yeah.
Pape while slipping over, and same with Maddison. But brilliant finish. It's a goal of the highest quality, that one. Or the whole move.
That was my favourite goal of the day.
Because what a ball from Son. By the way, how many times have we said that ball from out? He's got that outside of the ball.
Becoming a bit trademark now.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That one down the line, and he's so good at it, Sonny. And it's just one he doesn't get enough credit for. It creates so many problems for the opposition, and that was another one. That was probably the best of the bunch because it had to travel such a long way and was right into Maddison's path. Brilliant run from him, and as I said, that chop from him that's becoming trademark Maddison as well. Brilliant, and what a finish! And he celebrated with the Jackal celebration.
Yeah,
he did Day of the Jackal, which is a show I've been watching recently. Great show, by the way. But yeah, brilliant for Maddison. It's great to see him in that form.
Yeah, it really is, and let's hope that he can kick on now as well as the team can kick on now. The second half was pretty much a non-event though, wasn't it? It was a completely non-event. Brennan Johnson comes on for Sonny at half-time. I thought Brennan was really bad.
Yeah, he wasn't great. Again, on that left-hand side, wasn't very good. Moved over to the right and did have that chance right at the end of the game where he should have scored, but it was a non-event. That second half really was. The only thing to really say about our second half was I thought Tyler Dibling looked quite good. I thought throughout the game he was easily...
He's the only one.
He was easily their best player. And he clearly looks like a real talent. He's so strong as well, so broad, but he's also got that pace and ability to get past people. And what I like about him is he doesn't just have that physicality and that kind of broadness to shove people off, and also the pace to get past people, but also has brilliant decision making in the final third. The amount of times he picked the right choice and created good openings for Southampton was a few times, and he also had that shot from about 25 yards which just whisked just wide. It forced to look worried about it, ended up hitting the stanchion. That was a really good effort. So I think for sure whether Southampton are pretty much going down, but he'll be staying in the Premier League, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham are looking at that and thinking that he could be a real
what's his natural position? Because he's played in a few.
Yeah, I mean, he's played wing back, he's played winger, he's actually played up front in a game or two. I think for me, he looks like he's at his best when he's on the wing, but I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if he's right or left-footed. He seemed to cut in on his left a few times, but I thought it was right-footed, so maybe he's a bit two-footed. But he's an 18-year-old who's really shining in a Southampton team who are clearly struggling, and that's
they're going to want a lot of money for him, though.
Well, he said 21 million doesn't even get his left foot, Martin. Although he's gone now, so whatever he says, is moot. But yeah, obviously they're going to want top dollar. But look, Southampton have a great academy, don't they? How much talent comes through that Southampton academy? You just have to think of Gareth Bale. He reminds me of a young Gareth Bale, the way he is, just in terms of his broadness and speed, the way he runs like a rugby player, like Bale used to do. Like obviously,
I don't know if Bale was like that though at 18. Like,
no, but
he kind of developed it as like in later on in his career.
Yeah, but that was obviously true. But that's how he came. And Tyler Dibling has that physicality. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham is seriously looking at him, to be honest.
Because when Bale came to us, he was like a bit of a scrawny teenager. He wasn't that like he built himself up at Tottenham.
He always had good technical ability.
Yeah,
he was always very good at free kicks.
I mean, he scored a free kick in his first year at us against Arsenal.
But for Southampton, he was always very good at free kicks.
He scored a few in the Championship.
He was known as like a specialist.
Yeah.
And then he developed that physicality. But Dibling clearly has a lot of potential, and whoever gets him, I think, is going to be a lucky team, I think.
My one gripe, though, with the second half, I mean, I had a few. My main gripe with the second half was that Ange didn't bring on some kids earlier on, because the game was done at half-time, 5-0 up.
Yeah.
Like, why is he waiting with 10 minutes to go? I know he brought on Brennan for Sonia. First of all, I didn't think he needed to bring on Brennan. Maybe he did. But, we had a team full of, we had a bench full of kids last night. It was such a good opportunity to see them for longer than we did. Lancashire only comes on with, less than 10 minutes to go. Timo comes on with just over 10 minutes to go. Dorrington comes on with over 10 minutes to go. We had people on the bench like Olasesi, King, Hardy. Do you think like Ange? I mean, I think Ange should have made changes a lot earlier than he did when the game was done.
I was saying in the studio, I think I wanted Lancashire to get at least half an hour. I understood maybe, just make sure we just see out, make sure. I mean, I know it's 5-0 and the game is done, but you don't want it to be a complete shit show. So I understand waiting a bit, but I think 10 minutes was not long enough. I think Lancashire, give them a proper taste of Premier League football, give them half an hour. Dorrington, obviously, I think Spence was limping, so that maybe that'll cause that sub. But again, could we have given him a bit longer? Could he have given one of those youngsters a chance? He pulled them out of school for a reason, so you might as well use them. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame. For me, I was more annoyed that Lancashire didn't get more minutes, to be honest, because I really want to see more of him. I want to see what he's capable of, because I think in the minutes he's had so far this season, look, he hasn't blown me away, but he's looked like he can perform at this level, like at least give teams a bit of trouble. So I was wondering, also Solanke needed a rest. He's going to be relied upon a lot. So wanted to see more of Lancashire, wanted to give Solanke a bit of a rest as well, but that was a bit disappointing. Look, I for one, I wasn't bothered about the second half in terms of, taking the foot off the gas from that point of view, and just conserving energy and making sure we didn't get any injuries and all that kind of stuff, because I think it's a smart thing to do. I know could we have gone for a record goal tally and all that kind of stuff, but I think in the period we are, it's with the week we've got coming up, it was very, very important we just got through that second half with everyone intact. That was the main thing, and maybe some subs could have done that to help that as well. But I don't think there's anything worth complaining about in terms of taking a foot off the gas that second half, in my opinion. Yeah,
look, taking the foot, I'm not too disappointed with that. The main gripe of the second half is that he should have made the changes earlier, because you got a squad and you got a team, particularly the first team, that's out on their feet at the moment, playing so much football, tired legs and all that kind of stuff. So there were guys on the bench that could have come on that don't have too many minutes on their legs, and probably made a difference as well against that sort of Southampton team that we saw yesterday. Two players that we haven't spoken about so far today is Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray. Two 18-year-olds coming in. Archie Gray as a makeshift centre-back. Lucas Bergvall for his first start in the Premier League for Tottenham Hotspur. I think Archie and Lucas, they're just so calm and composed, aren't they? For 18-year-old kids, just making their way at Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. I'm so impressed by both of them recently. Particularly Archie as well, coming in centre-back, no problem whatsoever, clean sheet yesterday. And Lucas Bergvall as well, starting in the number 6, and he was just so calm and composed on the ball. Yeah, he picks up these stupid yellow cards, which maybe you expect from a teenager coming in.
To the post at one point.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean,
I thought the guy got lucky that he.
I haven't seen that again, but I know. I kind of zoomed in on it on the phone, and I was like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, he shoved him right into the post from out, like completely uncalled for. I don't know who it was. It was Fernandez who got booked. They're having a bit of argy-bargy right in the corner, and then he just shoves him right into the post. That could have been bad if it went another way, and clearly it hurt Bergvall, and that was a ridiculous moment. I think he got lucky that VAR or whatever didn't get more involved, because I think if he got sent off for that, I don't think he could complain. It was a stupid act from him. You know, it's one of those where if it hits his collarbone or something, it could have been dangerous. So thankfully it was all right, but maybe that was a sign of frustration from him because he was getting the run around. Look, I think from my point of view on Bergvall, I don't think he was incredible. I think he, in terms of when I'm comparing him to, you know, like some of our other midfielders this season, Basuma and Benchko, what he was first of all, as an 18-year-old making your first start in the Premier League, he didn't look out of place at all. He looked like he was at home on that pitch, and he looked like he was definitely of the level to contribute. And he just kept things simple. He didn't overcomplicate things. He did his job for the team. There were a couple of moments where, you know, he did struggle, and he obviously picked up a yellow card. There was a couple of times he mishit a pass and stuff like that, but you know, he didn't let it affect him. He just kept calm, and he just did the simple things. And you saw near the end he went down with cramp and clearly struggling with some of the physical side of it early on, but I thought he just did his job with minimal fuss, and to do that as an 18-year-old in the Premier League at that level, even against the worst team in the league, is still impressive. And I think he'll be very happy to get through that game as he did. And that was a really positive first start in the Premier League for me, for Bergvall, albeit I don't think he was a standout, but I think, you know, it was a good performance, and that's all you can ask for a player of his age. And I have to say, Archie Gray, man, I don't think enough is being made out of him. I think he is what a prospect he is. He just, any position he's asked to play, he just does it with minimal fuss. He does it with no questions asked. And I just can't remember too many bad games he's had for Spurs this season. Comes in this game again, playing his first start as centre-back in the Premier League. And he just, again, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known he's not a centre-back. You wouldn't have known he was playing out of position. On the ball, so calm as well. You know, just does things again with minimal fuss. Just gets the job done. He kept a clean sheet on his first Premier League start yesterday as well. You know, we had a back four of Spence, Dragoshin, and Gray and Udogie and Forster in goal as well. So very much a makeshift back line against the Southampton team. Whatever you want to say about them, we've seen them create chances against teams this season. We've seen them be a threat, and they just couldn't lay a glove on them. And I think Gray, I know Dragoshin was actually particularly had a pretty good game as well, but look, Archie Gray, I just want to give him so much praise because he's played pretty much every position this season but his position, and he's been absolutely fantastic, and all this experience is going to help him. And to do all of that at 18 is such a good player to have. He's a player just filling in so many different positions, and I think he's such a tactically aware player. He's such a player who can, I think, adjust quite easily. I think we've seen that. And I think those players are so important, especially for a team like us, when we have injuries, that can fill in all these multiple positions and do a job in so many multiple positions. He's, as someone described yesterday, he's like a Swiss Army knife. Just kind of do the job that you need him to do in any position. And he just keeps going from strength to strength. And just to think, when he's like, this is him at 18, when he's like 21, 22, you know, playing in all these different, if he can fill in these different positions, it will be such a kind of important player to have in the squad, and I think he's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he's brilliant. I really do. And what I would say about Gray, though, I do think like Spence, that performance at right back probably yesterday is better than any performance that we've seen from Gray at right back. And again, it makes a bit of a mockery about why Spence hasn't seen more minutes, because I can't get over that Spence performance yesterday. He's just come in and just shut everyone up. That said that why he hasn't got the minutes. But back on Archie Gray, I mean, yeah, like I can't really add on what you said, because it's absolutely spot on. The guy comes in with minimal fuss and does the job. So I can't praise him enough. But look, it was a brilliant performance in the first half. I think Southampton, you got to say, were definitely willing participants. They were shocking. They were embarrassing for the first half. They really were. They were open. They were so open. They kept trying to play out the back, and we kept just catching them out. And they couldn't respond.
In terms of the goals we scored, though, I've seen Southampton. Look, I'm not saying they were good defensively for Southampton or anything like that, but I've seen Southampton continuously, like, goalkeeper pass it straight to the opposition striker and stuff like that. The goals we scored, we had to earn them a lot of the time. Like, it was good quality.
Yeah, but it was still embarrassing defending.
Yeah, of course, but it wasn't like for example,
they didn't give us the goals.
Yeah, we didn't give us the goal like they've given a lot of teams goals this season. They, like against Liverpool, you know, the keeper plays it straight to Szoboszlai, bam, he has like an open goal and he scores. Like against Chelsea, the goalkeeper gives it straight to Nkunku, he has an open goal and he scores. Like, They didn't give us the goals. It was good quality from Tottenham to open them up. Not to say that the defending was embarrassing, because it was for Southampton and it was terrible defending. But at least we had to kind of earn our goals rather than Southampton giving them to us. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true, but I mean, it was just embarrassing from Southampton.
I know he lost his job. But tell me about the atmosphere on the home end then, because you were there. Obviously,
yeah, second half actually. Second half they started singing quite a bit.
But
we started singing Levy out. They started singing Martin out.
On the pictures though, a lot of fans seemed to leave after 25 minutes. Was there a big stream of fans leaving?
Yeah, there was. It's all on the vlog, mate. But after 25 minutes, they started streaming out. Then another lot started streaming out after at half time, and then. By the end of the game, you could see, I mean, in the second half, you could see clear visions of a lot of red empty seats in the stadium. So Spurs cleaning out their stadium. Yeah,
and obviously, look, he lost his job after the game, Russell Martin. He was Ange's biggest supporter before the game, so we'll thank him. Maybe he fell on his sword for Ange yesterday. Maybe kept him in a job. But look, in terms of yesterday, just the overall picture, it is easy to say, oh, so Southampton, but it was a very big game for him, because if we would have dropped points yesterday, the pressure would continue to build, and a lot of people were saying even before the Rangers game he has to win the next, or he has to win the next two, otherwise he's gone, or stuff like that. So as much as they're bottom of the league and whatever, and they're clearly not a good team because they've only got 5 points, it was a very important result, and as much as we expected a win yesterday. How many times have Spurs this season done what we haven't expected? So it was just nice to see Tottenham actually do what you expect them to do for once.
Yeah, look, the form obviously has been nowhere near good enough. That was our first win since the Man City game, which was the back end of November. So the form has been absolutely tragic since then. And we just needed something. The fan base and the players, everyone at Tottenham Hotspur, just needed something like that yesterday. And it was so great just to see a really convincing win. Has it said to me that Spurs are on the right track now and we're going to kick on now and we're going to get consistent results? No, because we've seen big performances at Man City, at United, and the Villa game, the West Ham game, and we've always responded with a poor result after that. So we need to kick on. We need to show a bit of consistency, and what better time than in a big game on Thursday night in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup against Manchester United. So we need to use this as a springboard, but how many times have I sat here and said that? This season.
Of course.
So I don't think that we learned anything new about the team yesterday. The only thing that I think Ange probably learned about the team is how much players like Jed Spence and Lucas Bergvall can actually contribute from the first team.
Yeah, and that was a big positive. The fact that Gray, we were the first team in the league this season to have 4 teenagers be on the pitch at the same time. We had Gray, Bergvall, and Spence all starting a Premier League game, and they all contributed really well. And again, caveats to the opposition, but still, you can only play what's in front of you, and they are, they're in the Premier League for a reason. And the fact that Bergvall, Gray, and Spence came in and didn't look out of place at all, and Spence thrived, and Gray and Bergvall contributed to the team. That's the main positive, I guess, coming out from yesterday, and hopefully that leads to them getting more opportunities now in other games in the Premier League, because especially right now we're going to need them. And that was the main real positive yesterday.
Yeah, look, you can only play what's in front of you, but the reality is this is our first win in 6 games. Mm-hmm. So that is the harsh reality of where we're at. We're sitting 10th in the league, 4 points, I think, from Man City in 5th. Right
5
now.
Points off 4th.
5 points off 4th.
It's
2 are 4th, Nottingham Forest.
Forest, too, are they going to finish in that position?
But look, we've got massively hard games coming up now. We've got Manchester United in the quarterfinal. We've got Liverpool at home the following Sunday. And then on Boxing Day, we play Forest away. So these 2 games against Liverpool and Forest are massive.
We've got a big week, massive week ahead of us.
Massive. So we need to show something in this next week. But this is what I said, right? When we did that thing, next 10 games, how many points are we going to get? I said we were going to get 7 points, and we got 7 points.
Got 7 points. So then you said 5 out of the next 5.
Yeah, and I hope I'm wrong, but Liverpool at home is going to be it's going to be really hard with the likes of Mo Salah against and how frail we are down the wings. I think it's going to be difficult. Forest away, the way Forest have been playing this season, and the whole Nuno story coming into it is going to be a really hard game. And then the Wolves game at the back end of the season, Wolves will change their manager, so we don't know what kind of Wolves it's going to be. So we've got 3 really important games now in the Premier League.
And a cup quarter-final.
Yeah, and a cup quarter-final. So yeah, I don't know which way it's going to go. But
it's still gone by Christmas, though?
It depends. It depends what happens in the next 3 games.
By Christmas.
I don't think he's going to be gone by Christmas, no. But still, 7 points in the last 5 games is nowhere near good enough.
No.
That's the reality. And being 10th in the league at this stage of the season is nowhere near good enough.
No, but I think clearly the club are going to give him the time to turn it around.
The club are going to give him time to turn around, and I'm happy. I really am happy that the fans in the stadium, particularly the away ends, are backing him the way that they are. And, I was on the vlog singing his name at full voice, and I've said it many a time. It's not that I wanted him to get sacked. I just think he would have got sacked, and many managers would have got sacked for a lot less than what they've shown in terms of results at Tottenham Hotspur so far. Like, how many managers do you think can survive being 10th halfway through the season? Not many.
No, but I also think we're we don't have we're not doing the same things as we did under Mourinho and Conte. We're trying to do a bit of a long-term kind of thing. So I think if the club are committed to that, then I think that's the only way we're gonna have we're gonna grow. I think is having a bit of stability. We're not this club that can keep chopping and changing managers and trying to get success. We've done that, and clearly
done it for 22 years.
Yeah, it's not something apart from the Poch era where we had him in charge for 5 years, and Redknapp where he was in charge for 4 or 5 years. Those are the only 2 points we've had a bit of stability, and we've kept with it. So for me, I think that's what we need to do to have any chance of climb the table, growing and having a bit of sustainable success. So that's for the club that we are at the moment, with how the board are going about running the club. That's the only shot we have, in my opinion, and not about changing managers. So I agree with you. The board have been trigger happy a lot, and they've sacked managers for less than what Ange has done. But maybe that wasn't the right way of going about things. And maybe, I don't know, I'm saying they're realising it, but at the moment it seems they're willing to give him a bit more time than those other managers, and I think that's a positive.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you. I do think it's a positive, and we need to kick on. We need to kick on from here. And I know it's a very hard task at the moment with the amount of injuries that we had. I think he said, 10 first-team players weren't in the squad yesterday, which is pretty much a first 11, which is crazy.
Hopefully, after the Liverpool game, Bentancur's going to be back. Hopefully, Van de Ven won't be too far behind that as well. Richarlison will be back beginning of January.
We need a big second half of the season.
Yeah,
we need a really big second half of the season. And
but if
we win against Manchester United, we're all of a sudden in a semi-final of a cup. We can really kick on from that.
And if we can just keep ourselves within, 5 points or so of that top 4 come January, when a lot of our players are coming back, and then we're still in Europa League, a good shot of being in the top 8. We could be in a semi-final of a cup if we win on Thursday. All of a sudden, it's still there for us to have a very good season. Yeah,
it's true. It's very true. But I just want to reiterate the fans in the away end yesterday, because it was like the perfect blend, supporting the team, showing what the fans' feelings are on the ownership at the moment, and also support for the team and support for Ange Postecoglou, all in the very same time. And usually, in the past few years, when these chants against Levy and the ownership start coming out, you do hear a few murmurings around you, being like, "Come on, you don't need to do that," and a few arguments and discussions start breaking out around you. But this time there was none of that. There was literally none of that. It felt like the whole away end was in complete unison about that specific topic, which was great to see.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if we do turn things around, if that continues.
Yeah, but every single goal that we scored yesterday, it seemed to get louder and louder.
Yeah, I know, but I remember a few years ago, I think I wasn't there, but I remember you telling me
the Palace game. Yeah,
that was the Palace game. I was away, but it was in Israel. Same thing happened, and I don't know. And then we didn't turn things around that season, but I'm just saying it's just an interesting dichotomy, because obviously the worse we do, those noises are going to get louder, and then but if we start doing well again, is every away game just going to be Levy out if we're winning, if we're doing well? Essentially, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait and see.
But you know what though, in that Palace game, that situation that I just spoke about discussions and arguments happening when these chants start coming out, that was happening in that Palace game. That was not happening yesterday. And yesterday was, like I said, an away end in complete unison against the board. And even after the game, the players come over and we all celebrate the players. After the players go in, the fans, were staying behind and singing "We Want Levy Out," which was madness. So
look, I'm not saying it wasn't significant. I'm just saying if we do start turning it around, it'll be interesting to see if that continues.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, but it was definitely one of the best away ends I've been in recent years yesterday at Southampton. And the team, delivered as well, and thank the fans for that long trip down to Southampton, and not that long, an hour and a half on the motorway. But
it was 7 p.m. on a Sunday, which is
it was 7 p.m. on a Sunday. At least it wasn't 8 o'clock because we got back an hour earlier than maybe usual. It was a bit of a weird timing for a game.
I don't understand it.
And also, we didn't even mention Sonny as well, breaking Darren Anderton's assist record in the Premier League. So big up to Sonny, big up to the team yesterday, big up to Ange Postecoglou, and most importantly, the travelling away fans yesterday, who I thought were absolutely